Hey guys, it's Village Advisor back here, and I wanted to get on this morning and talk about good debt and bad debt, leveraging debt, and why and how and why the government want us to use debt, which makes it easier to acquire right now. So, I'm going to start with bad debt. So, bad debt is anything that you acquire that does not give you an ROI. So, an ROI, for those of you who don't know or can't remember, is a return on investment. So, say I go out and I want say I want a classic car. Say I want Oh goodness, what do I like? Let's see. I like a lot of things. Um, we'll just say I'm gonna go crazy. I want a 1995 Toyota Supra, since I just talked about this yesterday on my Facebook page. Um, I want a 1995 Toyota Supra, and it's around that year. I don't know if it's exactly that year, but it's around that year that the Brian O'Connor Fast and Furious Toyota Supra, the orange one, was. So that's not on top of that, the new Supra came out. So everybody's going crazy over these Supras. So anyways, so I want a new Supra. Or not a new Supra, I want a 95 Supra that's in good condition. The Motion Auto Sports down the street, on Tusk, he's got one sitting down there, and, I want it. So what am I going to do to get it? Well, this is where there becomes an easy way and a hard way. And what do easy ways eventually turn into, guys? A burden. They don't work out. They end up harder, more difficult later. So, anyways, so I go to Motion Auto Sports, sign up for a loan, say I don't have the money for this car, but I need it. It's a car I've always wanted. Let's buy it. Okay? So I go get a loan for that car. I go put it in my garage. I drive it 10 times a year, and it's now costing me a monthly payment of God knows how much. And it's not, but what it's not doing is bringing me any money. So that is an example of bad debt, because it gives you no return on investment. Okay? So you're just throwing money away. You're shoving money away. So let's say, now granted, one of those goes for around $60,000 in good condition. Excellent condition, I should say. Even stock. But we'll just say, so one of those goes for around $60,000. If you want to attain that, but don't have the money, you ask yourself, how can I get the money? So we just went over a very bad way to do it, which is through bad debt. Now, let's work a little harder, though. That was the easy way. It's easy to go to a bank and sign up for a loan and get that's the industrial age mindset, is because it's easier. Because you work so hard while you're at work that everything outside of work you want to be easy. Anyways, so now let's talk about the hard way, which is good debt. Okay? So, and I shouldn't even call it the hard way. It is more difficult than just going to a bank and getting a loan, but it's the better way. It's a little bit longer, but it's the better way, and you'll prosper more from it. So anyways, so let's talk about good debt. Let's get into talking about good debt. So good debt. So we talked about bad debt. Let's talk about good debt. So good debt is when you can take money that someone else gives you, i.e. a bank, an investor, off of a credit card, which would still be bank owned. But anyways, though, anytime you take those kinds of debt and put them into something that is going to give you an ROI. Okay? So, for instance, my favorite mentor, Robert Kiyosaki, he bought his first rental property with a credit card. People in the industrial age would flip their lid because he took a cash advance on his credit card to buy a house, a rental house. Oh my gosh, you can't do that. We've been taught you can't do that. You got to get a loan. Or save up your money. Save those green stacks that are going to mean nothing someday. Okay? So good debt is any kind of debt that you acquire that's going to give you an ROI. So I was on Facebook, and I posted something on Facebook, and a friend of mine responded talking about his how he bought a duplex to live in and rent out the other side, as I read it anyways, and which is very, very financially intelligent, and not to mention an infinite return. Okay, that's the other thing we're going to talk about is infinite returns. So he went to the bank. They gave him a loan for a 2-family unit, and where he actually said it was financially intelligent is that he lives in one side and rents out the other, and that's financially intelligent because then the interest rate at the bank is less because it's your house. When you have a rental, it's usually about twice as much for the interest rate. So that's very financially intelligent. So he just did this the cheap way, the easy way at a discount. So the bank gave him the money to buy this. Now he rents out the other side, or can rent out the other side. I don't know the exact situation or what exactly he's doing with it, but he could rent out the other side if he's not already, and that would pay his mortgage, and he would never need to pay his mortgage again. Okay, that's called an infinite return. When you're not paying your own money, your own capital for something, and it's giving you money back, that's called an infinite return. And that is good debt. Me and my girlfriend bought a house, and it doesn't make us any money. That's bad debt. It's a liability. It's a huge liability. Granted, I don't think I could have talked her into living in one side of a duplex and renting out the other. And by the time we were to this point of buying a property, I was done living in duplexes. So anyways, that's why we went with a house. But that's where you can start to get into talking about where you can actually take and turn your house, your bad debt, into good debt and leverage it. So this is another example of that. So for people not thinking outside the box, this is a little outside the box thinking, outside the industrial age box thinking. So it used to be back in the day that, and my buddy can do this with his rental too, and it still is like this, the majority of people, when they live in a house for a few years, it gains, and the market does well and goes up, the house gains value, and that's called equity. So your house will gain equity over time, and what you can do with that is, that's where people say, yeah, my house is an investment, it gains equity, but then they turn back around and turn it into more of a liability with that equity. That's been what people do with their home equity loans. It's so stupid. I'm sorry, I don't mean to be blunt, but it is. Okay, so you take that home equity loan and you fixed up your house. Wait, hold on. So your house is currently worth what it's worth in its physical state, and you're gaining equity off of that. Okay? So let's say you went to the bank. You said, "Hey, bank, my house has $30,000 worth of equity. Okay? I had it appraised. Here's the appraisal. Here's what's owed on it. It's about $35,000 of equity. I want to take that now. What I would tell the bank, unlike most people, is I would tell the bank, I don't want to take it out to renovate. I want to take it out to buy rentals. And I'm going to use that $35,000 to buy 2 cheap rentals and fix them up and rent them out. And your loan will be paid by those your equity loan will be paid by those 2 rentals. The bank sees this as a stable investment at that point in time and are more likely to give you the equity loan in the first place because of this. But in the second place, it's not because it's not going to be wasted money on your house, on things that you shouldn't even be buying in the first place. But not to mention, imagine what you can do with your house now that you aren't basically. So if you had both those rental properties, one of them could be paying your equity. They could be paying your equity in your new equity loan and your new mortgage loan, your refinanced mortgage loan, which, mind you, isn't going to be much more than what you originally paid for it at that equity rate. So as long as you pay it right. So let me explain that. I know I'm getting into some deep stuff, but let me explain that a little bit. So as you pay monthly, your equity grows in your house. Okay, when you pay your loan amount goes down and your equity goes up. Okay, so when you pay for a couple years, then you're down, and when your value goes up, so it adds more. So it's not just I bought my house at $135,000, it went up to $140,000, I gained $5,000 equity. No, it's I only owe $100,000 on it, and it's worth $140,000. I could get a $40,000 equity loan out on it. So, anyways, so you take that, you buy those 2 rentals, use that money to fix them up, and then guess what you can keep doing, guys? So you just fix those rentals up in the market, so they're going to gain value, and they're paid off. So now you can go out and get equity loans on both of those, home equity loans on both of those rentals to purchase your next 2 rentals. And then you can keep going and going. And it's infinite, guys. So you can keep doing it. This is why all these big billionaires, millionaires, rich people, entrepreneurs are all saying you do not need capital to begin these days, because the banks are willing to give money because of the way that our economy is. They're willing to lend money because they think that it helps the economy. So as long as they're thinking that debt is going to help the economy and they are willing to give it out, then there are going to be ways to get it. Okay? So if you're going to go after debt, my suggestion is to go after good debt so that you can get an ROI. Okay? If you go after bad debt, it's a liability. Anything you buy with bad debt becomes a liability. My house is a liability until I turn it into an asset until I could turn it into an asset by taking a home equity loan. I don't know if that's the route I'm going to take yet. I'm just giving that as an example that you guys could do. I personally would probably rather use investors to get my rental portfolio going, but I don't know. Who knows? But I'm just giving this as an example. This is not advice. I'm not telling you guys to go out, take a home equity loan out on your house and go buy a rental with it. This is all just educational. I'm just showing you guys what you could do. So what you guys should do now is based off of the information that I just give you, the different point of view on debt. And you should make your own opinions and make your own plans and goals for the future when it comes to that. Okay? So, and the thing I do want to challenge you guys to do is every time you want something, don't take the easy debt way to get it. Okay? So, again, I know I was supposed to make a full circle there and with the car thing. So, after those 2 rentals, you were making an infinite return, and those 2 rentals are now paying your mortgage and your equity loan, and now you can afford your car. So another little piece of advice that I will give guys is it's always a good idea that when you want something or want to do something and it costs a certain amount of money, to challenge yourself to make double that money, because you want to have something to keep reinvesting. Okay? So you don't want to just invest and make the money for whatever you were trying to achieve. You want money to keep reinvesting. Anyway, so I hope that you guys got value out of this. Please smash the like button below. Subscribe to my channel. And there will definitely be more great financial education and information in the future. And I hope to see you guys next time.